packed agenda for today's town hall. I want to thank everyone for being out here today. Today is a bit of a sharing exercise. I have a lot of news to share with you, and then later in today's town hall, we'll make lots of time available for questions. Dean Kopp will be here in about a half hour for that question and answer time. Assistant Dean Mike Rainey, who oversees advising and orientation, is here for part of that question time. Leslie Riley, who oversees our health professions office, will also be here during that question time. I'm forgetting who else. Susan Harkins will be here during that question and answer time. So we'll have lots of time for Q&A, but I also want to give you some update about some things that have been happening in the college over the course of this last year and get your thoughts and feedback. So one of the things I love about this place is this is a student-driven place, and one of the things that we find really easy to do is to get conversations going among students of how should things be. And you all always chime in with lots and lots of ideas of how things should be, so that works really well. So I want to share with you some of the things that we've been hearing from the student body of the college, and as a result, some of the things that we're going to be doing next year and beyond, following your input. So some of you may be aware that the college did a number of focus groups last year and earlier this year as well. There was a big effort, there was a student-led effort to do lots of feedback from the college. This was the so-called CT back. And I won't quiz you all on what that stands for. It stands for College Tuition and Budget Advisory Committee. It was headed up by Juan Herrajón, who is the president also of Natural Sciences Council, but brought in students from across the college, again, as an opportunity to get feedback of things that were a burning need for the students in the college. So those two processes brought us lots and lots of information. And I'm going to try to share with you some of the big feedback that we got, and then also try to tell you a little bit about one of the things that we started working on already in getting ready for that feedback. So let me just say a little bit about gathering information. So I guess I already started with this. One of the things I'm always a big advocate of is if we're going to be spending money or doing things in the college, it's really a good idea if we start with you all. Because we can dream up ideas, but it doesn't tend to go real well unless it actually responds to something that you all have identified as a need. So we've been going through a lot of effort over the last year to try to get input from you. And I'm sorry if you didn't have a chance personally to contribute, but we've tried getting lots of student input, either through focus groups or the CT back process, of getting ideas from the students at the college where we need to go. So it's been focus groups, it's been surveys, it's been CT back. Several town hall meetings have already happened over the course of this semester and last semester, and we've tried to collect lots of themes from those various events. So some of the most recent town halls have dealt with success in freshman year and for new students here in the college, for about pedagogies in some of our big science classes, and about diversity and student success. And that's all been really great conversations. So my goal is to share a little bit of that with you and then tell you where we want to go. Let's see. CT back gave us a very long, nice report, and it had lots of ideas. We can spend time talking in this meeting, if you'd like, about some of the ideas that they brought up. Some of these might resonate with you, and some of these might not be terribly exciting. But the idea of we need better support for incoming students, both on an academic and just getting used to UT side, that came up as a big issue. And you'll see that most of what I'm going to talk about today is focused on that one bullet, because it came up everywhere. In every focus group, in every survey, in every town hall, that bullet in various forms came up. And so as we decided to think about what responses do we need to work on immediately, that's the first one. But there are also good insights from CT back on ways to get more effective course instructor surveys done, and ways for faculty to get beneficial use from that, and ways for students to get beneficial use from that. I've just received that kind of information from CT back, so I've done nothing about it, but that's an interesting topic for us maybe to discuss. Folks had wishes for review of the curriculum for research methods. Some of you know that that's the entry course into FRI, and there's lots of different sections of it, and so there was feedback from the student body about taking an opportunity to reevaluate that curriculum. There was the idea of advertising course pedagogies in the course catalog. We have all different manner of pedagogies, from flipped classrooms to inquiry-based classes to peer instruction to project-based instruction. There's a lot of different pedagogies that faculty are working on right now. I suppose the feedback that we got was it'd be nice to know in advance what it is that you're going to be subjected to. Ooh. With pizza and dark lights, I'm worried we're going to have some naps. Okay. Diversity in the college was a theme that came up. There was also this wish for some form of unofficial guide to CNS. And some folks said, maybe it's time to start restricting admissions to the college. The college has grown very big, and now access is becoming an issue. There was a wish to to continue looking at what we've done for degrees in the college. A lot of you know about our new Bachelor of Science and Arts degree, and that's a great augmentation, but is it enough? Are we doing enough to keep our degrees modern and flexible enough to represent the diversity of interests across the student body? I have something to say on that one before we get launching into CNS 101. And then the last point I should have said at the same time as we talk about research methods is looking at diversifying the fields of study within FRI. We all know because of its historical origins, we have a lot of tension in biology and chemistry, but we are growing and trying to grow more into physics and computer science and astronomy and other fields, but does it now represent our aspirations? Let me just say a quick thing about degrees, because this is something that's been on my mind a lot. So before you get distracted by that really complicated diagram, let me remind you of the big change that's going to take effect officially for the first time in fall of 2014. That's when the first student can graduate as a degree holder with a Bachelor of Science and Arts degree. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the Bachelor of Science and Arts degree, it is the only degree plan we have right now that allows for a minor within the college. And because of its name, actually that minor is supposed to be something outside the college, either in the College of Liberal Arts, a certificate in communications, a business foundation certificate, something that you're going to marry with your science background to become useful to somebody someday. And there's lots of employers telling us about writing and about communication skills, business skills. There's all manner of reasons to want that Bachelor of Science and Arts degree. Actually, health professions, Leslie Riley would say this is the perfect degree for folks pursuing the health professions. And that got us thinking a lot, and then it generated some more feedback from you all that there's not enough opportunity to minor within the college. So how do I get to be a biology major but have a computer science minor? Or how do I get to be a physics major but do a biology minor if my long-term interest is in biophysics? So that's what generated this little diagram, and it's right now a cartoon. This represents the entirety of thought within the College of Natural Sciences about this plan. So please do not go off and say that the world is about to change. That's not the case. This is me attempting to get feedback from you, and then we'll go to work if that turns out to be something of interest. The degrees in the college up till now more or less follow the upper of those flowcharts, where you would have the university core that you do, you have something in your major that you're supposed to do that's probably the same, and then there are these options, right? There's like 10 different options in biology. You can be a human biology major, microbiology. I guess we have a quiz program. Who can guess all of the different options in biology? Neurobiology. Oh yeah, I have giveaways later. Cell and molecular biology, the UT option, the honors option. I'm failing already.
Well, you're telling us the answer.
Okay, I won't do that. In any case, I want you to think of our current degrees, the options, as basically following this flowchart and going into the upper path. That all of those options really represent specializations within a single field. In my field of physics, we have 6 different options in physics, biophysics and radiation physics, but all of those are the same starting out. There's a core of the physics degree that everyone's doing the same, and then you're doing some different courses at the back end. And that's kind of like what we did with the BSA, except those courses at the back end were swapping out with a minor. And then as I tried to think a little bit about what is it that you all asked for in terms of getting a minor opportunity within the college, that's what led to this flowchart. So I'm picturing a day with pink unicorns and rainbows where all the degrees might look like this. You start out, you do your core, you do your major, which is, I don't know, 48 hours. I'm making up this number, so don't quote me. That's common to your field. And then from there, you have a branch point decision. You're going to be the total technical specialist in that field, and so you'll have an advanced certification in microbiology or neurobiology or whatever. Or you're going to decide to go to the middle branch and say, I have a biology major, but I want to do a minor in math, because I see Mike Starboard back there, and he's like math, so I'm going to say math. And that's fine too.
What are you talking about? Is that a minor in math?
All right, excellent. We're good. So that could be the middle branch. And then you could decide, no, I'm the BSA student. I want to have a minor, but it's going to be in communications or business foundations or something like that. That's the flow chart. And what you'll notice at the end of each of these flow charts are these coveted words that don't exist right now. They're called electives. So this will be where I have the biggest challenge, because we don't have a lot of space in our trees for electives right now. But this is the pink unicorns and rainbows portion of our town hall, so I can do all of those things, right? I can do electives. The idea would be that the electives serve a different purpose depending on which of these flowcharts you're on. If you're doing the BSA degree, we want you to be doing electives outside the college. We want you to explore the humanities or language or whatever. And so there's a specific framework. It says you're going to do arts electives. If you're on the upper path, those electives might be necessary for you to actually be able to do the advanced certification in some field. The microbiology specialization might have more than 18 credits of it. So in order to get into that last little package or certificate, you've got to do some pre-work. But the middle one, I just want you to take some math or take some computer science, because that's like the future. And you'll have a chance to do then electives of any sort that's in the sciences. So again, this is me thinking out loud. Some of us in the student division have talked about it. I've talked about it a little bit with the faculty. We have time and lots of space to talk about that, but that's what we're thinking about in response to some of the feedback we've gotten from you about what is it we're going to do about degrees down the road, because they're not all quite as modern and maybe flexible as what we would like them to be. All right, so that's some feedback. But now I want to spend most of my time talking about one particular thing, and that's CMS 101. As I said, the largest amount of feedback I got from the entire student body, no matter which of these venues we've been talking about, focus groups or town hall meetings or you name it, is we need to do more and be more effective at how we welcome new students into the college, whether it's transfer students or freshmen. And there are so many efforts that we have going on around the college, but in many cases they're not well known or well understood by students to even take advantage of them. And so our hope is to deliver something that now takes best practices of all of our various programs and scales it up so every single student is getting access. What we learned is that CNS 101, whatever it's going to be, had better address 4 important areas. One, much like our FIGs, it's got to do something to build community within the freshman class. Everyone has looked at the FIGs, or the TIP program, or biology scholars program, or the honors program as an initial source of community. In terms of breaking this massive place down, that's essential, because how are you going to know who's in your field, who can you study with in your classes, who are you going to go to in your first weeks here on campus? Community was a theme that came out over and over. The second thing that came out in our talking about the freshman experience or new student experience is just learning how to be successful in college. It is different from high school, and how do you get the tools to do that? Third thing is students wanting to hear more and more about majors and careers. And the last thing was to focus on advising. How can we be more effective with advising for students in the college, at least for that first year? I want to just say a little bit about, this is a science college, I can use graphs, right? I want to say a little bit about why we're working on this particular low-hanging fruit first. I mean, there's a lot of feedback from CT-back and a lot of feedback we've gotten from the focus groups. But this graph kind of represents for me why this is low-hanging fruit. This graph shows number of graduations happening from the College of Natural Sciences and from the university as a whole. You're all scientists, what do you interpret from that graph? It looks like CS is doing that, and the university is kind of flat, right? Well, our freshman class is about like the incoming class at the university. It's flat. The reason this is going up is not because we're admitting more and more elite students. It's going up because of some of the interventions or the programs we put in place in the college to do exactly the kinds of things we're going to be talking about today. we implemented FIGS, or we implemented FRI, or we implemented these kinds of community building opportunities. And what we see in our own data is for students who have access to those opportunities, their likelihood of graduation is literally about double. That's a very powerful statement. Because what it means is, for all we talk about faculty and courses and what have you, there's an equally important and potent factor in your likelihood of success, and that's a peer group that will get you through. You all kind of probably knew that, but it probably would have been a little bit surprising to say it's close to double. It's close to double. So every year in the college, we've been trying to add one more new acronym or one more new program to get another 20 students in a small group of some sort. We lead the university in acronyms, right? Yep, the world. The world, we lead the world in acronyms. So that's working. But now that we're close to everyone being there, I guess what we're trying to say is, that's great. We want to standardize the experience and make sure that whatever quality is happening in one program is happening in all of our programs. But this graph is really exciting to me because it says that doing these things makes a difference. All right, some things that we heard. Community is important. And I'm just putting up here quotes that I heard from students either in focus groups or some of the surveys that we got back. But students talk loud and clear about the fact that this is a big place, and it's an adjustment to being in this big place, and you all are science nerds, so it's not likely that you're going to go and introduce yourself to everyone else and taking it freshman chemistry, right? It's difficult to do that when you're first getting here. So anything we as a college can do to break this place down and make it more likely for you all to start interacting in a cohort is going to be to everyone's benefit. So building community is something we heard loud and clear. We heard a lot about advising over the course of this whole process of gathering information from you all. And one thing we heard is that the one-on-one advising thing is great, at least in principle, but as it's playing out, is not as effective as it could be, because some of you aren't visiting with your advisors for the first time until October, when it's time to register. So for a new student in the college just trying to figure this place out, if you don't have access to an advisor for 2 months, a whole lot of things that happen in 2 months, your first 2 months here at college. So our intentional focus is to use CNS 101 as a way of regularly interacting with your advisor, albeit in a group, but having that kind of advisor presence from day one in college. And I think that will be an important change. The other thing we heard about is peer mentors. So there's lots of our programs that use peer mentors, and we heard over and over again that the peer mentors were really, really important people. Yes, you take advice from faculty and staff in the college, but when you hear it from someone who had to do exactly what you're going to be doing, either in your biochemistry major or your astronomy major, that carries a lot of weight. And those people obviously were successful because now they're juniors, and so something they're doing, they did it right. So we want to make sure that peer mentoring is an important component of CNS 101. We heard in various ways that preparation for college is an issue. And although many of you come from the very top of your graduating class, maybe your high school didn't have as good a chemistry program, or your high school didn't have as good a calculus program. There's always, for all of us, something that we're trying to get used to when we first get here to college. And then there's the whole, how do you study for college in the first place? And the university has tons of resources, but what we heard is, for many of you, you don't hear about it right away. And you hear about it only when it's too late, like after the first test. Well, that's great, but the first test just happened. So we want to be better at delivering information to everyone of how to be successful, or if things are going in a rough way, how do you get access to resources right away? And it's actually good to do that. So we've had lots of time to talk about that. The other thing that we heard loud and clear is that people want to have more conversation about careers and majors earlier. It's great to say, I'm going to come here and I'm going to be a biology major and I'm going to go be a doctor someday. But what if you decide someday that the doctor thing isn't the right path? Do you drop biology, or do you find some other great thing to do with biology? Well, either way, it'd be nice if you had information in order to make that decision. Biology doesn't equal pre-med any more than physics equals, physics professor. There are lots of things you can do, and our alumni will be the first to tell you there are lots of great ways to go, but you all need that information early and to be thinking about it in order to make informed decisions. use your picture. That's your family, right? Then there's, I think, discussions that are really important, and they are about you being independent learners here at college, apart from families for the first time. There are all kinds of things that our families hope for, and I know that my family would wish that I got a 4.0 and that I would have stuck with that biology degree and been a doctor someday, but you know, I flunked out and I got here. So, in any case, there are lots of expectations that families have, and you have to navigate these things for yourself. But I think they're important conversations for you to know are happening with all the peers around you. In some cases, it's just you have to be here at campus because you got a test on Monday, and that's an important conversation. The other one that we've heard a lot, I think even more, is the thing I just alluded to, which is families know about some majors and they're really hoping for you to do that one major. I even heard a student say, my parents wouldn't come to graduation because I majored in nutrition and I didn't finish my biology major, and they think I can't be a doctor even though I just got into medical school. So there's lots of anxieties that families bring to this, and we all know that, we've all lived through that. But I think this first year is an important opportunity to get that conversation out amongst the student body. Because I think freshmen are always kind of freaked out and not, sorry to say freshmen here, but it's really easy to be freaked out navigating all these things at the same time as you're figuring out how to show up for the right class at the right time. So here's the structure we're going to propose, and again, I'm interested in your feedback, but the idea is to have sections of CNS 101 where we will divide up the entire incoming class into cohorts of 20. Every cohort will stick together for the entire year. Something else we heard is that FIGs are not enough. They stop after a semester. And every section will be led either by a faculty or staff advisor in the college, possibly one of the postdoctoral scholars in the college, somebody who has some ability to help you navigate. Every section will have a peer mentor as well, and every section will have classes that are linked, just like our FIGs, because it's helpful to have a group of students all going through chemistry together and meet old Dr. Lottie or meet old Dr. Kopp taking physics or something like that. But in any case, linked classes seem to be an important thing. And we're also taking something that's been in existence for a while, the Faculty Fellows Program, where students get to go to lunch with faculty and using that here embedded in this program. All these things together comprise what we imagine will be CNS 101. I forgot to mention, just try to go out rolling once in a while. The idea is to take some of that experience of what we know works well in the FIGs or what works well in the TIP program and now scale it up so that every freshman, every incoming student will be getting that. I mentioned these already, but I'll repeat them. The 4 things that we heard are absolutely key to address in CNS 101 are forming community, careers and majors, academic success, and better integration with our advising body.
Sorry, I thought it was
Oh, your part. We're just about to start your part. So your part. Yeah.
Oh, that's why it's on my calendar.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry to interrupt.
No, thanks for being here. So there are lots of existing programs, and some of you might be wondering, what are we going to do about those? Well, a lot of those programs have a reason that's apart from the things I just said for existing. We have honors programs, or we have the TIP program, or we have freshman research initiatives. Those continue, but our hope is to have everyone in a section of CNS 101. So my hope is that we're going to stop shopping, have everyone shopping for acronyms. And I always remember at orientation, we started talking about how we lead the university in acronyms and you can sign up for all these things, and someone will say to me, well, which one should I sign up for? And the right answer is, well, it doesn't really matter. You could do that one or that one. They're all kind of trying to do the same thing. So my hope is to make this a lot simpler for new students to understand. So now here's the key. We have to do 100 sections of CNS 101. That's the size of our freshman class. To say that we're going to do the entire incoming class in groups of 20, we need 100 of you to be peer mentors. Now, for sure, some of the mentors in the TIP program, or some of the mentors in some of our existing FIG programs, they'll want to do it again, and we'll be glad to have them back. So that's not like we're wholesale getting rid of all of that. But we need to, you can see, scale up. So I put out a call yesterday, and I'm hoping you're going to answer the call. We're going to need mentors for the next freshman class. Ideally, we need mentors for the next transfer class as well, but we're starting with freshmen. Right? I hope that you'll be part of this process. The other thing I want to emphasize is these kinds of ideas or new programs in the college only work well when they were your idea, right? Old white administrators think up ideas all the time and they're generally bad. But if they're your idea, then we try to act on it fast because it's probably a really good idea. That's how the BSA started. It started with student input. And that's great, so that's all going fine because this was your idea to start up something like this. Maybe you wouldn't have said CS 101 is the right name. We had lots of arguments about the day, but you know, there's a good name out there somewhere. We'll write it. But the other thing to make it successful is that jointly we have to participate in making it successful. Because we can go off and do it, but without active student participation, it will never be the same as if it has the active participation of the student body of college. I mean, you've heard me put out the call. We're going to need peer mentors for this, and that is the secret sauce. Because no matter what big program or what TIP program or what you see across the college, all of them work because they have peer mentors and they're very actively involved in the lives of the new students that come to campus. So we will stop, we will take questions, but I want to stop and before we do that, I want to thank all of you who have been participating in these processes of gathering information and surveys and focus groups and all manner of things. And I want to thank the members of our CT-BAC who were leading this process over the course of this last year. I saw Juan sitting right there. Juan was the chair of CT-BAC. I don't know, Juan, are you other members of your team here today?
We are.
Can you all stand up? Where is everybody? All right, you want to introduce everybody on CT-BAC?
Sure. So we introduce ourselves, but I'm Juan, and I was the chair of CT-BAC this year.
I'm Hayden, and I'm a biochem teacher.
I'm Lindsay, I'm a math teacher.
Who
I'm Linda, and biology and economics teacher. I'm Alice, and I'm a public health and sociology major.
I don't see Amanda, but I know she was...
Yeah, Amanda was the first, and I'll introduce you.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank all of you because you did a lot of work this year. I'm right on time, and so now I think it's good if we answer lots of questions from you. Dean Hickey, everybody join us again, so we'll just let you all fire away. Now sit. Great.
So how will the presenters be planning the service activities or the lesson plans? Will it be with their instructors and also leading it, or will they be collaborating with other presenters, or is that still kind of in?
Well, there's going to be some peer mentor training in May and late summer, where we're going to meet with the peers and go over the mission and the plan and what we're trying to accomplish. And then the mentors will meet with the instructor they're assigned to work with, and together they will plan the activities. And in some cases, the mentor will become responsible for the activity, come into the class, go up front and lead it. In other cases, the instructor will, and then sometimes they'll collaborate. But the plan is that the mentors that are hired will do some basic training, and then over the course of the year, meet once a week with their instructor, plan for activities, go to, we think, 2 or 3 additional trainings each semester. Sue, you want to elaborate?
Talk about answers about 3 to 4 weeks,
Yeah.
and they'll attend those trainings with their instructor.
Thank you.
Does, like, say CNS 101, does that mean for the incoming students that it's going to be a 4-credit course?
That's exactly why this day class is confusing. No, it's like a FIG. It's a 0-credit class. There was no time to think about it getting on the books as a 1-credit class. So 101 is just to convey the beginning, right? It's the beginning.
One didn't sound very good.
Yeah, it didn't sound good. No, it sounded good. So no, it's not a 1-credit class. Maybe someday it makes sense to do that. I'd be interested in your thoughts if it would be more effective as a 1-credit class that's on everyone's degree. But for the time being, it's like FIGs. It's a way of getting into the linked classes, but that's really all it is.
So will they be replacing the junior college?
Yeah.
It's really like CNS 101 is this concept of an introduction to a college, an introduction to natural sciences, building groups, taking classes together. And this big concept that applies down to FRI and FIGs and WINs and stuff.
So if a student's already in FI or on whatever, are they also going to be or is this just
you know, many FRI labs act like a small fig, right? But that would, you know, if you add up all the programs, that doesn't encompass the entire incoming class. So we're trying to translate that now so that everyone has access to an experience like that. We're also
So
going to,
FRI would be a section of standards.
yeah.
But what the CNS 101 covers will be infused into those activities that are in honors or in TIP, ESP, or WINS.
So will there be sections of CNS 101 for students that are more advanced also, like those who are doing like the reading division, so would have to take something like Chem 302 their first semester instead of Chem 301, or would it be just the standard income courses?
I'll let you kind of take that one.
Yeah, there's going to be all kinds of different opportunities. We have had in the past FIGs that have the honors biology sequence. We're going to have a 101, it's going to have a chemistry honor sequence. We will have a math type 101 that will start with math 427L for students who've placed out of calculus. And we're also going to have some kind of open groups where they may have all kinds of credit through AP and dual enrollment and really FIGs, but at least they'll have a 101 type situation together and maybe a signature course. Because nobody places out or gets AP credit for a signature course. So we will have that, and that'll be their cohort. But that's a good point. We have to be creative so that we have opportunities for all types of students, no matter what level they are.
So like, if they are in CS on like, what if the questions are also doing classes, like, are they still going to stay in the group, or?
Yeah, that happens a lot. We have students in FIGs or other cohorts, and they may end up dropping one of the courses for whatever reason. But that doesn't change anything. They're just not in that course anymore. They're still in the cohort.
So they still stay in the group?
Yes, even that next semester, we want them to stay in the cohort for many reasons. Ideally, they're taking courses together and benefiting from that, but if they drop a course, that's fine.
So computer science is a first-year program called the POD program.
Yep.
How will that be affected?
It just becomes sections of CNS 101. Basically, they were ahead of us. We've been talking about something like this for a while, and so they were able to implement something already in the fall. I don't really want to continue using the acronym PODs, I guess is all.
Okay, so just like a rebranding, essentially?
Well, for that group it is. But like I say, for many students in college, they have access to nothing like this. But the concept of pods, I think, is very much the same as what we're trying to talk about here. There were faculty and peer mentors associated with the programs, and they all took classes together. I don't know, were you in a pod by any chance?
No, it was like created after I came.
Okay. Well, I think the concept very much applies, and there might be some specific things that we had in mind here, the group advising for one, and the sort of college success kind of stuff that may not have been present in the pods. So there may be some infusion of other things, but no, I think the model is very similar to what we're proposing.
So what we're doing is we have a group right now that's coming up with a complete structure for 101. The syllabus, the teaching lessons, the complete package. Then we're going to meet with Rob in computer science and say, okay, what are you doing in pods, and here's what this committee would like for 101 to be. He will take out of that what he's not doing, keep everything else he's already doing, and merge them together so that pods are even better than they were. And we'll do that with FIGs and FRI, everything. Some things are already doing almost all of what 101 is going to be doing, and some are maybe doing half. What we want to do is take all of our existing programs and make them better by including some of the additional 101 materials that we come up with.
I mean, I think it's fair to say, it's not like these ideas came out of nowhere. There are existing programs that essentially do all of this. Our hope is now to take those best practices and make sure that it's available to every student in the college, right? So POS was great, a lot of the FIGs are great, but you can't say that every student got that kind of experience when they first got it. Well, you didn't, right? So we want to see a translation of those ideas into every student's freshman. Go ahead, wait for it.
Me. This sounds like a great program if you're kind of like a normal, I say normal CNS major, like bio, physics, etc. I'm a fashion major. Like, how is this going to help us? Like, we're a really small portion of CNS, and I don't want us to get put under the rug. And I just feel like this is really good.
So our hope is to start building the cohorts around the majors. So I would imagine we would start with 20 faculty majors and put them all in the same section of CS 101. And the specific courses that you all would be linked together would be very different from what the biology majors are doing. But there are courses that you all take together. And I don't know, maybe you remember them by heart.
Well, we've already set up some 101s for the fall for all of the majors in human biology. And it may be that a couple of our cohorts are only 15 or 18 students. It's okay. It's all of the freshmen this fall who are in DFS or Bachelor of Apparel, whatever, will be in a cohort with linked courses and with one of the junior college advisors.
So I guess going based off that question, how is it that students will be placed into their CNS 101? Is it solely based off major, or is it based off like career track, or what factors do you use to place them into cohorts?
Probably start with major because that's about the best we can do. And I'm imagining that within some fields there's going to be a big significant health professions component. We can try to track on that, but that's about where we can start.
We're going to start with majors and at orientation and go from there. This summer we're doing something really different with orientation. The wing meetings, the cohorts that students are going to be in during orientation are going to be within their own major. So when you go to your wing meeting now, it's not going to be 40 people from across campus. It's going to be 40 people in natural sciences who are in that major. And we're hoping at orientation to take those cohorts and put them in 101s together so that the 101 building starts at orientation.
So two questions. One, with putting everyone together with similar majors, are you still continuing with diversity amongst our freshman classes? And second, what do you do if a student is maybe an undeclared major and decides to declare major halfway through, or if they go from being a math major to being a different self apparel major halfway through?
Well, we're going to have 101 cohorts in the fall from the students. And as far as diversity, we're going to deal with that at orientation. We put together the cohorts, not only on major, but within major on diversity. And if somebody changes their major, if they're undeclared in the fall and they become biochemistry for the spring, if the courses that that cohort taken in the spring aren't appropriate, we'll switch them into one that is.
How would you promote the dynamics if this is your class?
What's been your experience in the FIGs? Were you in a FIG?
Yeah. Some people are supposedly interested, but
Well, there's a couple of ways. What we're going to do is, one, attach these cohorts in 101 to really good teachers. And two, we're continuing in the spring. So we're hoping that students will go in the fall because they're going to want to continue in the spring with their cohort and with their instructors. But we're also going to change it up so that there's more social activities, more connection with faculty, and to try to make it even more attractive so that for the most part people will want to go. But there's always people who join and stop going for whatever reason. We're hoping in this new model that we will have people reach out to that person to figure out what's going on, try to fix the reason that they are concerned about coming or don't want to, and entice them to come. But it's a very good point, and it's something we're struggling with right now.
Yeah, do you have adult discussed applying something like this to graduate school? Like where maybe you have a community effect but lack the advising and major career options.
For
Do
the
you discuss
graduate
graduate students at all?
Well, I see Ann Tibbetts, who's the director of graduate programs for the college, sitting in the back of the room.
question, I'm sorry.
Have you considered a CNS? Have you considered a CNS 801?
No, I haven't, but I know that we probably do have some graduate programs that are large enough that it is hard to connect.
I will, Leslie, thank you for mentioning that. I will advertise for graduate students that the college just hired its first ever graduate career coach. So for graduate students in the room, this is an individual who got his PhD in molecular biology, has an MBA from UT, he was a postdoc here at UT.
worked for many years for a subsidiary of Merck, and now is here to coach graduate students on just the kind of things you're talking about, but obviously, career coaching, that kind of environment. Josh, you were going to...
You mentioned at the beginning that the mentors, the peer mentors would be getting training, but how about the professors that are guiding these courses? What kind of training are they going to be doing?
Well, they're faculty, so they won't need any training whatsoever. So the idea is to have training sessions in the spring and in the fall, and then sort of weekly, every 3 weeks, professional development meetings for the faculty and staff who are leading sections of CNS 101. This is the first time we've done it, so I'm sure there's going to be lots of feedback that they're going to be giving us of what's working and what's needing to be tweaked. So what we wanted to make sure is regular meetings where everyone gets to come together and talk about what they're experiencing.
And I'll repeat that mentors are also going to be part of those meetings as well. So the concept is the instructor and the mentor will be right there together. If the instructor can't attend, then the mentor can, and vice versa. And so, it's really a collaborative effort.
Plus, the faculty that will be involved in this are volunteering to do it. And they're the kind of faculty you want to be doing this. They care about this kind of thing, and they like going to lunch with their undergrads and meeting with small groups of students and talking with them. So we think that the faculty will be the least of our worries.
Will the mentors overlap between CNS 101 and other programs that we provide, or will it be different set of mentors for CNS 101?
Well, ultimately, we want a mentor for a cohort. We don't want them to have two different mentors. This next year, you're going to have an FRI mentor.
Yeah, so an FRI mentor can do that at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What size is the program going out to transfer students?
Right now, I know we have the money to do it for every freshman. I think we're going to try piloting it for a few sections of transfer students, but we would need another 40 sections to accommodate the current number of transfers incoming annually. I don't think we can quite get to that right away.
Like a volunteer.
We're going to do 5 sections in the fall of transfer students who are going to volunteer to be on this. They're not going to be required to like freshmen. They're going to volunteer and say, yeah, this sounds pretty good, I'd like to do this. They're also going to have a mentor, an instructor, the same kind of syllabus, and they're going to have linked courses like genetics or organic or some advanced course, depending on what they need.
So you said that we'll have a syllabus, basically, but as big mentors, like next semester, we are supposed to have like a good amount of freedom with our plan. How much like freedom will mentors have in terms of planning their own cohorts activities?
Well, there's a certain number of things we want to see happen. We want sections of CNS 101 to spend time talking about connecting with faculty. And we want sections of CNS 101 to talk about advising for the following semester. Or we want sections of CNS 101 to start talking about careers and majors. I think there's plenty of room for some flexibility. Not every week is going to be exactly scripted. But it is a little different from just do whatever. And it's going to be more scripted than that. Most of what Dr. Kopp just mentioned is already in most gigs anyway.
As a mentor for the fall, I already have my plate implementing and the advisor that I'm working with, but it's only a semester, so how does that translate to the
It's going to be for the spring.
So I'll be the...
I emailed the 40 FIG mentors that are going to serve next year,
Okay.
and I asked them, would you like to continue next spring in the same role? And 38 of them replied yes. 2 of them said no, I'm graduating. And so everybody who's going to be involved in mentor for us who's here in the spring will continue with the same student, the same instructor, everything. Did you respond to Dr. A's email? Oh, there was one person who didn't reply. He just made that up. I'm just kidding. If you'd like to continue with it in the spring, we'd like for you to do that because I think it will be the benefit of the students that they have a consistent peer mentor all the way through the year. So if you haven't checked your email recently, maybe do talk to Dr. Reedy after we're done here. Okay? Rachel.
Has there been an express need for larger communities for non-transfer students and non-freshmen?
You mean like sophomore or junior? Who's not a freshman and who's not a junior? Yeah, I think that there's some sentiment out there. It's not as strong. I think right now this is already a pretty big effort to get this running, and I'd like to get some experience of what works and what doesn't and what need remains. Again, this all comes out of expressed need. So the strongest need we heard from you, the student body, was something has to be done for incoming students, something dramatic. And so this is what we're talking about.
Well, one of the things we're considering is to entice students to attend in the spring. We're going to let them continue in the fall of their sophomore year in their cohort, taking, say, genetics and organic together. Not the 1-hour seminar, not the weekly meetings, but staying together as a group, taking courses together.
Yeah, as one of the potential postdoc instructors, you mentioned that to predict maybe about 5 hours. And so you say weekly meetings and lunches. So where does that other 4 hours, or the other
Training, meeting with the mentor once a week, and then meeting with your students 2 or 3 times a week as needed.
As needed.
I'm also envisioning that each faculty and staff leader of these sections is the primary contact for 20 students who want to come in and talk about whatever. And
so it's sort of like
I know, well, in a way, I know that in small seminars that I've taught like this, there's all manner of questions like, my grandma's ill, and I don't even know how to get out of taking a test or getting a test rescheduled. Who do I talk to about that? So there's lots of need for one-on-one interaction. It doesn't go away. And we don't have the best infrastructure right now. And students, you all can attest to it. Where do you go as a freshman trying to learn, okay, what do I do about switching a major, or where do I go about why is this major better than that major, or what do I do about some personal family thing?
Thank you. It's a little bit.
To alleviate some of the fears that you may start having soon, we are going to assign an advisor to each cohort. So if a student comes to you for advising kinds of things and you're not quite sure how to help them,
Well, so that's postdocs, we don't know. We don't
Right,
take classes here, but we don't know.
so you'll be able to refer that student to an advisor assigned to your cohort just to help you.
To follow up on that, specifically, how many times a week, like would it be a 1-hour class once a week?
1 hour once a week and lunch once a week.
Okay.
And then other trainings and informal contacts that add up probably.
Okay.
And once a week meeting with your mentor to plan activities and to check in with the mentor to see how your students are doing and to see if the students have shared anything with the mentor you need to know.
Okay.
One more follow-up from that. Is there parents who make committees, facilities, pods or whatever, regarding, do they have faculty advisors attached to them? Do they have experience to this kind of thing?
Not faculty, but right now most of our things are run by advisors. And so the advisor knows those students really well, and the students come to that advisor often for all manner of help and questions. And usually they get advised in the food.
But the time you that because advisors are seeing is similar to is what you're
Yes, that's what this is based on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about the leader mentioned as well? It's undergraduate student care. It's advertised and also available for graduate students. Is that the case, or is the leader position reserved for postdoc faculty?
Postdoc faculty, grad students can do it, yes. Anybody who wants to, we need help.
So just want to be mindful of the time. I'm certainly happy to stay on and answer more questions, but some of you are probably thinking about 6 o'clock class or whatever. And Dr. Ritchie, you've got a couple of giveaways.
I do.
That we want to make sure you get out the door.
So Dr. Kopp mentioned earlier when he was talking about a possible new Bachelor of Science structure that biology has several specializations. There's actually 10 of them. Whoever comes closest to naming all 10 gets a gift card to Starbucks. Hey, that's a lot easier than my next question's going to be. Go.
All right, microbiology, human biology, computational biology, teaching cell molecular.
Honors, yes, that's 6.
Biology, neurobiology.
That's 8.
Go.
Microbiology, cell molecular biology, human biology, honors, computational biology. Did I say honors?
Yeah.
Biology, marine biology, neurobiology, teaching, and neuro. I forgot.
So you got 9. Can anybody get all 10? Okay, all 10. Marine and freshwater biology, micro, plant, ecology, evolution, behavior. Is that your major? Is that the area you're in? Human teaching, neuro, computational, honors, and cell molecular. Come on down. Okay, I have a Papa John's gift card to whoever can tell me the score to the football game the last time UT won the national championship. 2005. You're right. Someday you're all going to have kids, and they're going to sell stuff to their schools, and you're going to buy a lot.